what we want to improve, rather than the positives that we feel we bring to the classroom.
Yeah, good, thank you. Why do we tend to do that? I agree with you.
When do we focus on the positive?
Yeah. Well, no, why do we,
Oh,
why
wow.
do we focus on the positives and we focus on the negatives?
That's a big question.
That's a big
question.
Well, it's not really considered such a good character trait, is it, to be boastful or to be... It's better to hide your light under a bushel, I suppose. You know, nobody wants to be, yep, I'm great, look at me.
Yeah.
And maybe for personal development or professional development, you want to try to fix the things that are not working so well.
Yeah.
Sure, yes, yeah, good. Any other ideas?
Maybe because when something happens and it's positive, we take it for granted because this is what it should be like, and if it, like, you can see the positive outcome, then you're like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. But it's much easier to focus on the negative because then I don't know, you start blaming yourself. Oh, I'm not meeting the expectation of myself as a teacher, maybe. Because so I think for the most part, positive is more taken as for granted.
I totally agree with you, because I feel like the whole idea of the modern society is like success is a norm. Like being successful is a norm. That's what you should like strive for. If you're successful, okay, good. I'm as everyone else. I'm what I should be. What society requests me to be. So, but when you fail to achieve that like success, which society requires you to achieve, you start thinking, oh my God, what didn't happen? What can I do to achieve it? So
Good.
That's why.
Good. It might also be that the negatives create stronger emotions, maybe, which affect us in different ways. They have a stronger impact or a long-lasting impact, really. So it could be different explanations, but it is very true that people tend to focus on the negatives and to ruminate. Yeah. So you keep thinking about the negatives, and you experience even stronger emotions such as worry and why is this happening and what do I need to do in order to fix that. Yeah. So that's the most important thing, to actually reflect on why something happened and what we can do to deal with it. Right. So. Look at the two questions at the bottom. Have you ever thought about those? The ones in bold.
What question to teach?
Right. So I'll give you 1 minute. I'll give you just 1 minute because it has to be a very quick reflection. Yeah. Because if you sit down and start thinking, okay, if I were not a teacher, I would do this or no. Doesn't work, so another option, another possibility, right? Or what am I going to do when I retire? Yeah, how am I going to fill my days? Yeah, for some people it might sound like it's too far away, yeah? So this is something we tend to not think about. So I give you 1 minute, again in your groups, to think of the first thing that comes to your mind for question 1 and 2, okay? And then we'll talk about that again. Okay. Sorry again. I got just 1 minute. Yeah. So what did you talk about?
Stress, existential.
Let's start with the second question. Yeah. So when you will stop teaching, yeah, because of retirement in that case. So what would you do? Yes.
He's retired, actually.
Good. So what you're
I'm
doing?
already retired.
Yes.
I retired from teaching the year before last.
Yeah.
And before I retired, I took up Chinese language. So I'm a Chinese learner now.
Good.
And also I started learning flute. Do you know? 2-string Chinese violin. So I started learning flute 2 years ago. So I can feel very comfortable when I play flute, and I'm very happy to chat with Chinese friends in Chinese.
Wonderful.
So it is very important for us to have some aims in life. So students of English in Japan should have some aims to learn the language. I think.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Good. Anything else? So you're still learning a language, yeah? So still you're dealing with languages, yeah? But you're also doing creative things at the same time, which is great. Any other suggestions? Yes?
Well, I have to retire from my job in 3 years.
Yes.
But I think I will still continue teaching, but not, in the full-time position. I won't go to meetings. But do other teaching-related things, or writing materials, or things like that. I think we have to kind of create more opportunities for ourselves and keep the door open. And I think it's good to think of these things before the day you retire.
Yeah.
Plan ahead.
Good. So yes, I think in this question there are many people who would still continue to teach. Yeah. There are many people who would want to do anything that's not related with teaching at all. Yeah. So anything else that does not include any teaching. There are examples of what you were talking about, that you still would like to work in. Helping people, yeah, which is related to teaching in the sense that teaching is also a caring and helping profession, yeah. So we care for other people and we help other people, our learners really. So there are different kinds of answers, but I think most people tend to answer in these 3 ways. Now the first one is, imagine you are not a teacher, what will you do for a living? And I guess here we have had lots of different responses, yeah, and examples of other professions that would work. And the thing is that when we try to reflect on these questions, we are thinking about ourselves as teachers and what we would do within this non-teacher identity that we have outside of teaching. So we are influenced by our own personal values, and in that case by our own interests, our own aims, as you said. We are influenced by educational values. Yeah, some people really value education. They believe that it can be helpful in many different ways. That is why when you retire, you still want to be teaching or writing materials or producing things that are related with the job. But what is also important to remember is that we are not just teachers. And this is something that has been discussed in our field with relation to learners. There is very interesting research by Emma Oshioda on language learner motivation, language learner self and identity. So she has suggested that our learners are not just learning a language, so that's not the only thing that they are doing in their lives. Yeah? They are trying to manage so many different things at the same time, and this influences their motivation levels in the classroom and how they approach learning. And it works the same way for teachers as well. So teachers do not just teach. Yeah? Although many of our students expect us to know everything, to be able to answer all their questions, to focus on that thing only, it's not really true. Yeah, we are all trying to manage so many different tasks and responsibilities on top of teaching. Now, another interesting thing is this discussion on, I called it work and life, because the term that was initially introduced was work-life balance. And I'm sure you've heard of that. Yeah? And many people are against this term, because they actually suggest that it's not two separate things, or they shouldn't be two separate things, because one is part of the other. Okay? So work is part of your life, so it's not like work versus life, and we need to find the balance. And you see here 4 different ways that people tend to visualize or conceptualize this work-life balance concept. So we have A, the first figure, the first graphic ever. Work and life, 2 separate circles, which are very close to each other, yeah? But they do not touch each other, yeah? They do not meet. Then we have got B, work and life. So these ones are very close to each other, but you see that the circle that includes work is much larger than the one that includes life. So we can think of that as, we can interpret it, let's say, as if work is much more important than life, yeah? Then we have got C, work and life together in one circle. And then we have, of course, D. So we have a little circle called work, which is embedded in the bigger circle, which is called life. And those people that are against the term work-life balance actually suggest that D is the most accurate representation or depiction of that, that work is part of our life, okay? It's something that is difficult to conceptualize because we don't always understand it, yeah? As I said earlier, many of the decisions that we make and many of our actions, many of the actions that we take when we teach or when we focus on our work are done unconsciously. So we are not always conscious about all of that unless we are asked to reflect on those specifically as part of a training course, or a certificate, etc. Now, thinking of professional identities, there are different aspects that we could consider, and I have included 3. So what do these comprise? What do they include? What does being professional mean? It's interesting if you ask people, what does it mean? What this means. Many of them tend to talk about emotions, and I'll show you a very interesting quote in the next screen. And what is the role of emotions in teacher professional identities? Because they do play a role. Now look at this. So this is something that a teacher of English at a UK university told me in an interview, research interview. So, just to give you a little bit of background information about that, we interviewed English language teachers in different universities in the UK and the US. And those teachers said really many interesting things, and I can't include all of them here. But some of the quotes, some of the things that they said were very powerful. And when we asked them some questions at the start, just to break the ice, because we didn't know all of them. And we asked them questions like, what are your main responsibilities in your current position? What aspects of your job you enjoy the most and you enjoy the least? And